Hi everyone. I admit, bananas are not something I usually consider baking with. And when I marked recipes in What's for Dessert that I wanted to make, the Malted Banana Upside-Down Cake wasn't on my original list. But someone requested this recipe, and I absolutely love baking for other people, especially when I have requests. So that's what we're going to make today. Come bake with me. We are going to start by roasting 3 of our bananas. So I'm just going to take 3 of the ripest bananas, put them on a sheet tray, and put them in the oven at 350 for 20 to 25 minutes. All right, they are black. They are juicing a little bit, so we're going to set these aside to cool completely and move on to the next part. All right, Claire calls for this to be made in an 8-inch by 8-inch square cake pan, preferably metal. My 8-inch by 8-inch square cake pan, or baking pan, is glass. So she also says that you can do this in a 9-inch round cake pan. So that's what I'm going to do. I've also brushed the top of my parchment layer with butter, which I don't normally do, but I do have a video that I will link up in the cards here that will show you how to prepare a cake pan properly. And moving on. You'll just have to trust me, because I completely forgot to hit record, that I cut 3 more bananas in half, leaving the skins on. And then she says to take about a tablespoon of sugar and make 3 rows on your skillet. And we're going to use this to caramelize our banana halves. I can't say that these were perfectly cut in half, as these 2 are the same banana. All right, and now we just let them caramelize. She says it'll take about 5 minutes. Speed that up. All right, I think we're good. We've got some good caramelization around the edges. So we're going to try very carefully to pick this up and then set it on the plate caramel side down, or caramel side up, so that it can cool and hopefully it won't. That way the caramelized side doesn't stick to the plate as it cools. At least that's what Claire says. All right, that looks pretty good. We're gonna do the next 3. All right, I've turned off my fire and I'm gonna wipe this out with a paper towel because I don't want to get any, caramelized sugar is delicious. Burnt sugar, not as much. We're gonna do 3 more rows of sugar and do 3 more slices of banana. And another 5 minutes. All right, these look pretty good. I'm gonna try to scoop these out, hopefully. Well, this is going well. For the record, assisting fork, very helpful. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, while we let those cool until they're cool enough to handle, we are going to mix sour cream, rum, vanilla, and then we need our roasted bananas. We need 1 cup of roasted bananas, so I'm going to sort of take the bananas, and we're leaving all that liquid behind, but we're gonna scoop these in. Just gonna mash it a little bit in the measuring cup. Honestly, doing this with my fingers, a lot easier. All right, that's 1 cup. All right, to my rum vanilla sour cream mixture, I'm going to add in the bananas. Love these little measuring cup things. And I'm just going to kind of mash it a little bit. And then once I've got the bananas all good and mashed, I'm going to mix it with my whisk. Or just my fork, I guess. Well, doesn't that look very appealing? All right, moving on to the dry ingredients. I totally forgot a step. We are going to take our bananas, now that they are cool enough to handle. Here's my banana fork. And I'm going to kind of put them banana side down. And they're supposed to come out easily of their peels. That's what these are called. Totally forgot the word for banana peel for a second. Oh, that looks lovely. All right, let's try this again. That worked better, except for this little edgy bit, which is stuck to the caramel. I don't want the I want to leave the caramel in the pan. I just want to take the banana peel. This way, I guess. I have to say, this is not as easy as she makes it sound in the book. It's not hard. It's just not as easy as she makes it sound. Okay. Now these ones, oh yeah, that was a lot easier. Okay, so I guess my lesson here is don't cook them as much, because these ones were a lot easier to come off and clearly aren't cooked as much as the second batch. So I let the second batch go too long, is I think the lesson here. Oops, that side's more caramelized, so I don't know, we'll see. All right, now our pan is prepared. Now we're gonna do our dry ingredients. So we're gonna do sugar, brown sugar, come on, there we go, malted milk powder, flour number 1, flour number 2, come on, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. And we're going to whisk all of that together, breaking up any brown sugar lumps. So now we're going to add the butter and half of our mashed banana mixture. So the butter is at room temperature. Was it that way when I started? No, absolutely not. I put these in the microwave for 10 seconds. I turned it over all the way, microwaved it for another 10 seconds, and presto, room temperature butter. Half of our banana mixture, approximately. And we whisk on low. I can remember how my whisk works. All right, I mixed on low until just everything was moistened, and now I'm going to mix on medium, what was that? Mix on medium-high until I have a smooth batter. All right, honestly, I was starting to doubt whether or not it was going to come together, but it totally did. All right, now we're going to get our eggs and the rest of our mixture, our banana mixture. We need 2 eggs, and these have been sitting out. They're not quite at room temperature, but they're not straight from the fridge. And the rest of our banana mixture. And then we're going to beat all of this together at medium-high until it forms a very smooth cake-like batter. She says it will take about 2 minutes. I think that's as smooth and cake-like as I'm gonna get. So we're gonna put it in the pan. I mujied my bananas around a little bit so that I didn't have this big gap over here. And then we're just gonna put this in the pan. And we're gonna bake this for 45 to 55 minutes until it is golden brown. And it looks perfect. So we are going to let it cool in the pan for 20 minutes and then we'll turn it out. All right, it's cooled for 20 minutes in the pan. So I'm going to run a knife along the edges, and the pan is still pretty hot. I do have to say, it smells amazing. It smells like banana bread, which in my house, Mike makes. I never do. Take a plate, flip. Oh, and I felt it go, so that's good. Too hot. That came out absolutely perfectly. I have a little bit of rubbing or bunching there, but otherwise that looks pretty good. Now we're gonna let that cool completely. While our upside down banana cake cools, we're gonna make the malted, what is this? Malted whipped cream. So we're gonna take heavy cream. Combine it with sour cream, which I thought was a really interesting ingredient in whipped cream. And I used all my push measuring cups, so I have to use this measuring cup, which just demonstrates how glorious a push measuring cup is, because this is kind of a pain. Malted milk powder number 1, malted milk powder number 2, and now we whip. Let's scrape down the edges and see if we can get this to better incorporate. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day. Okay, we're going for soft peaks. So we're fine if it curls over just like that. Holds its shape, but it's still pretty droopy. So I think we're good to go.
Here are my final thoughts. This is kind of like a cross between a banana bread and brownies. It smells exactly like banana bread, but the interior is gooey, almost like a brownie texture. I'm not always the biggest fan of banana bread, mostly because I don't like the nuts that are usually included, but this was perfect. The caramelized bananas provide a really nice flavor, and I personally love brownies, even more than cake, so I really enjoyed this. A few important metrics. Is this recipe worth making at home? With 1 being Oreos, totally not worth making, and 5 being chocolate chip cookies, totally worth making. I'd say this recipe is a 5. If you like banana bread, this recipe is for you. Can or should this recipe be made in advance, with 1 being souffle, absolutely not going to keep well, and 5 being fruitcake, will literally keep forever? I'd say this recipe is a 4. Claire says you can make it in advance, but the crispy texture you get on the caramelized brownies will soften over time. Other than that, it was absolutely just as good the second day. How hard was this recipe, with 1 being instant pudding and 5 being the multi-layer death by chocolate cake? I'd say this recipe is a 3. Nothing in this recipe is particularly difficult. The only real challenge is getting the caramelized bananas out of the pan without landing them sugar side down on the plate. If you've made it this far, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload a new video every Friday. And hit that like button if you liked it. If you have a recipe you'd like to see me try, please put it in the comments, and I'll see you next week.